Looking back on Linsanity, which is a lot of fun to do, what was the most surreal moment, either on or off the court?
On or off the court, the most surreal moment. I feel like the most surreal moment was the night before the Lakers game. You know, when he came to town, he had 3 or 4 games under his belt, but I went to his house and like, hey, let me get an interview. You know, let's see what happens. You know, and I had my little camera and I had a little SLR camera. It was just me and him still. And his mom, his brother, they're all sitting around. We're just interviewing him, and he just like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's gonna happen. I gotta do my laundry, and so I'm gonna play the Lakers tomorrow. It's always a big game to play against them, but it was a special moment for me because no one had access to him at that point.
Yeah, and that Laker game was a really memorable breakout game. We had a game winner, I believe, in that game. He was phenomenal. How did you get to know Jeremy? How did you get this access to him? As you said, you got him before anyone else did.
Yeah, no, we started this probably long before Linsanity was even a word, right? We we started this project when he was at Harvard. It was his senior year. And I'm a documentary filmmaker, and at that point, there was talk of him making the NBA. And I was like, as a filmmaker, I'm like, that'd be a great ending. Does he make it to the NBA or he does not make it to the NBA? That's either way, that's a great ending. And this is the first talk, and I felt like, this could be live on YouTube, and if anything, it could inspire the next generation to even think that they could possibly make it that far in the collegiate level.
Right.
And so that's when we first started.
Little did you know that just making it to the NBA would only be the start of this insane story. I think the Asian American community was already familiar with Jeremy Lin, but what does it mean to that community to have him rise like this to become this superstar? I
mean, we hit a certain plateau, I think, for our community. I think Bruce Lee hit a certain plateau for us. Bear Luck Tomorrow hit it, and Jeremy Lin's hit a certain plateau. We'll all remember when Jeremy Lin crossed over to the mainstream as an Asian American male and represented something that we'd never seen before. And I think for us as a community, we'll look back in this time in 2012, that's when this changed the image of the Asian American male in sports.
There's a part of your documentary where you go through, there was a negative side to this. There were some insensitive puns. There were people who just didn't seem like they could handle an Asian American being this good and this talented and being the center of attention. How much did that hurt the Asian American community?
I mean, I think, we all know racism exists, obviously. Racism still exists. And, I think for us, what it does is it brought to light certain things and it changed the way people think. There's certain things you can't say on TV about Asian Americans ever again. And it's just the way you approach things. And I think that's the sort of, I talk about moments in history. This is the moment that changed. People became aware. And, if anything, you just want to create awareness. Jeremy dealt a lot with racism growing up. He's the guy that go after right now. I mean, I never seen Mo Williams play that much defense on anybody in this last series, but he did. But Jeremy's always had that since, he was a little 12-year-old kid playing AAU. He was always the guy that everyone went after. So he's used to that. So he's used to even dealing with the racism up to that point. When we see it, it's just already come to peace with it. But I think America wasn't ready to see it. And when that happened, it changed everything.
You're still close to Jeremy. Now he's into the off season. I'm sure he'd rather be playing, but he's into the off season. Does he ever look back on that time? And if so, what does he think about the rise of Linsanity?
When we talk about Linsanity, and he doesn't really like the name Linsanity. I don't think you like a name of your last name, a pun. But when we talked about Linsanity, and for him, it represents not just that 9-game winning streak. It represents the whole journey and all the downs, mainly downs, to get to that point. And I think that kept him humble. That kept him humble. So I think that he treasures that to that moment. And again, we talk about 2012. Everyone's like, this next day is your best year of your life, and it's like that was the best year of my life so far.
Right.
So,
what was the most remarkable part of the story, in your opinion?
The most remarkable part, I've done a lot. I worked for different, industries in the film industry, different celebrities, and I think the biggest thing for me was that, Jeremy is who he is on screen and off screen. I mean, there's nothing to hide. I mean, he's not doing things off camera that we can't show, and he's just an open book. And I think as a role model, that's amazing, right? And that's who we need in these positions.
So the celebrity and the money hasn't changed him at all?
I mean, he's still, the only thing he ever really wanted was shoes, and now he gets them for free. So the money part is what it is, But I think I don't see any change. I think a lot of things is the way people look at him changed, and people around him changed, but he hasn't changed.
Where can we see the movie?
You can see the movie. Obviously, you can buy it at Walmart. Amazon.com, and it's also on Netflix.